Parents, what is most fucked up secret you are hiding from your children?
Posting here so when my kids are old enough to snoop they get a split second of excited expectation before they are greeted by my saying I do really enjoy having sex with their mother.
Username checks out, parenting game 10 out of 10. We hit the lottery for $12.5 million and nobody in our family, including our children, has any idea. Besides us and the government, the only other people who know is an attorney we hired to keep our identities private as well as an accountant. We have kept our lives pretty normal. We both work so there looks like there's an income coming in. We both enjoy what we do and didn't want to have anything change drastically. We just didn't want to ruin our relationships with everyone or spoil our kids. We have it safely invested for their futures. But not until they establish themselves on their own without any idea that there is a safety net. We support numerous charities. It's a blessing to win but a bigger blessing not to be destroyed by money. Obviously this isn't my real name, which would defeat the whole purpose. My parents told me my sister is adopted. They didn't tell her. She's 34. By the way, help, what do I do? Buy the whole family DNA test kits for Christmas and watch the world burn. I'm the child of a parent that hid something horrible until I was 27. One day when my parents has a domestic dispute, my dad called me just to get back at my mom. He said, "Do you want to know something about your whore mother? She slept with over 30 guys during our first 2 years of marriage." I just sat down and started stuttering. He said, "You know how people have always said you look different than the rest of the kids?" I said, "Yeah, that's because I'm not your dad. Your mom slept with my best friend and you were conceived. Another thing, your brother, the one just younger than me, I'm the oldest, belongs to my brother." My mom just bawled in the background without denying it. I just laughed. And then I went into 2 years of therapy.
My dad cheated on my mother while she was going through cancer treatments. My mother asked for a divorce. He said go and take the kids. Every Valentine's Day I would receive flowers from my dad and get so happy. My mom would smile and nod and get excited with me. I would call him and thank him. He never sent me flowers. It was my mom all the years. Same thing with birthday cards and Christmas gifts from him. They were never from him. My mom just put his name on them in similar handwriting. Went as far as writing return addresses on mail too. My mom was a superhero of a single parent. That I've been changing every clock in the house on New Year's Eve to 3 hours early. At 9 p.m. we celebrate the new year, then hang out for an hour. He thinks he's breaking every rule and has a great time. Now that he's turning 11, this will never happen again. With phones and being somewhat smarter. Lol.
That she can't have a relationship with her grandfather because he's a pedophile and I would never trust him. The rest of my family maintains a relationship with him and leans on me hard to open up communication because family comes first. They are absolutely right, my family does come first, which is why my daughter won't ever have to have a relationship with him. Edit, he has molested, raped multiple members of my family and I only found out when I was pregnant with my daughter. Without going into too much detail, he also has a mental illness and I've been told that I need to let him have a relationship with my daughter because he's sick and couldn't help it. You are doing the right thing. I only found out a couple of years ago that my grandfather was a pedophile and molested most of my aunts and maybe uncles. That also explained why about 90 of my uncles and aunts have been raging alcoholics for their entire lives. He wasn't really my grandfather, he took care of my grandmother when her husband left her and their 6 children. To me he was my grandfather and he was my godfather. I just don't understand why my otherwise perfectly fine parents had us stay over at my grandmother's place when he was always around. Nothing ever happened as far as I can remember, but I just don't understand why you would take that risk as a parent, no matter how small that risk might be. I have a daughter of my own now, and if that fucker would still be alive today I would not let him anywhere near her. Oh yeah, he was a priest when he took my grandmother in but had to leave the church a few years later. I wonder why.
I'm hiding a lot of things. I used to be a stripper for 10 years. Growing up in an abusive house, I partied hard and used to be part of NYC Montreal club scene. that I was kidnapped and taken to another country. There's a lot of things. Now I'm just a boring accountant mom to everyone. No one has any clue what I've been through. Crazy what your kids don't know about you. My mom kept it a secret that the woman I was named after, her mom, my grandma, was stabbed to death by my uncle when my mom was 18. I always suspected my grandma had a tragic death because of how my mom would avoid talking about it, but I didn't know it was that tragic.
I'm the child, 48F, but my father told me my mother was dead all throughout my childhood and everyone in the family, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, stepmother, supported the lie. Not because my mother was on drugs or abusive, or a criminal, or even a bad person. Just because they had a huge argument one night and she went to stay with a friend, without me, so he decided she would never be allowed to be in my life again. Ever. He wrote her off. On my 18th birthday, she called our house and asked to speak with me. So, I found out the truth. I'm working out how to explain that the chicken we eat is the same as the kind of chickens that live on a farm. This is my parents' favorite story to tell. Apparently I lost it in a McDonald's while eating chicken nuggets and then choked out. Then what does bread come from? In between sobs. Not a parent but a child. This last Christmas I found out that not only was my mom had already been previously married and divorced, but my dad had a kid before he married my mom. So I have a half-brother or sister that I have never met. The real kicker was I found it out from my new sister-in-law who had someone did some digging, found out, assumed that I must already know and brought it up out of the blue on Christmas Eve while we were baking cookies. I'm the child, but my dad waited till I'm grown up to tell me that my mom gave me a lot of sleeping pills when I was a little child, so she could leave me alone at home to maintain her relationship with her lover while my dad was working in another country. That cleared up many things. Edit. Thanks for everyone wishing me well. I really appreciate that I'm doing well and it doesn't affected me, beside that I don't remember much about my childhood, but I didn't suffer or whatever. Meanwhile I'm dealing with depression and anxiety since a few years, but I'm not sure if this links to the drugging. But meanwhile I'm pretty good at being depressed, to be honest, haha. Otherwise is my life really good? I want to clear up that I'm in okay terms with my mom. She learned from her mistakes and I forgave her. I just don't forgive her that she did my dad so dirty. My dad is the greatest person I've ever known and he deserves to be happy. My dad told me my mom had vertigo, which is why she fell down a lot. It only took me until I was 6 that I found out she was an alcoholic. I'm the child here, but my parents hid from me for over half my life that I actually had a twin sister, but she had died at birth. Apparently even at the age of 2, I knew I had a sister without anyone telling me. Then throughout my childhood and early teen years, I would always pretend my imaginary friends or my actual friends were my twins. It all made sense when my mom sat me down a few years ago and told me my twin sister had died at birth. Sad shit. I'm an only child too, so that doesn't really help me not feel bad. My dad's biggest secret is that he smokes pot sometimes. He was teary-eyed when he told me because he thought it would make me think less of him, to be a dirty pothead, in his eyes. Like, homie, sit down and let me pack you a bowl. We good. Your poor dad, lol, he must have been so torn up inside.
Our daughters are both from IVF. Older daughter was conceived 2 years after youngest. Younger daughter frozen for a number of years as embryo, making the older one biologically younger than the younger one. Money is tighter than I'd like it to be. My daughter's Easter gift this year is a brand new expensive hair straightener that somebody else gave me as payback for doing them a favor. My son's Easter gift this year is a Lego set from my childhood. My mom kept most of our stuff in good shape in original boxes. Edit. Some people really don't like the idea of something other than candy or chocolate as an Easter gift. It's cool. All y'all do y'all's things. The baby brother she keeps asking for has caused so much heartbreak. I had a miscarriage and every time she asks when she's getting a baby brother I feel like I've been kicked in the gut. Edit. I didn't expect so many replies. I made the decision to keep this from my daughter because she does not need the heartbreak to change her little world. She's 6 years old. I know she would be able to understand what has happened, but I'd rather she stayed oblivious and happy than grieve a baby she didn't know about. I might tell her when she's an adult, but I also don't want her to be upset about how her innocent question makes me feel. Thank you for the messages of support. It's a very lonely type of grief to lose a baby, even if you have the support of your partner. I'm wishing all the love and virtual hugs to all of you that have been and are going through this. Even though we feel like nobody could ever understand how we are feeling, we aren't alone.
Subscribe to the channel, like, and watch other videos.